lives on tape. It lives on tape. Stop worrying.
Not once have you heard me.
It lives on tape. Tape.
Another technological disaster.
It lives. It lives. It lives on tape. Look out! That slithering death is right on you!
All right, everyone. Welcome back to It Lives on Tape, a horror movie podcast full of fun and fear. I'm here. My name is Torkel. I'm here with Tanner as well. How you going today?
G'day. Hey, good. Thanks, Torkel. How are you?
I'm super good. Feels like it's been a little while, but we've had some life stuff going on, and we're going to finish off the year with a couple of really big episodes, I reckon.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's been a bit of a down period. Yeah, a lot of big, heavy things going on in the background, like good heavy things.
Yeah, life stuff.
Heavy in the negative sense.
Yeah. The end of the year, we're doing some life stuff. We're moving places. Both of us are moving places at the moment. So everything's come together at once. But we're going to finish off
like the worst timing.
But we've been pacing out our episodes to keep you guys in the dark so that the content never stops. And
that's right.
We're going to finish off the year with two big episodes. And today's is a very special one about a particular movie, When Evil Lurks.
When Evil Lurks.
Yes.
Film that came out this year, late this year actually, by director and writer Demián Rugna. He's an Argentinian director. He's done films like, the only other film that I've seen by him, and I watched it after When Evil Lurks, was Terrified, which is, really good. Really good.
Oh, cool.
So from that sample size of two, I really enjoy this director.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, I haven't seen Terrified, but I need to now after When Evil Lurks, because, I mean, this is one of the top releases of the year. It was so good. And I heard a lot of people talking about it going into it, like within the horror community before watching it. And yeah, this guy's, he's really got a style to him. And I got to say, I really like the name Demián as well. It's a really cool name. And I didn't realize as well, one of the main actors in it is also Demián, but it's a different Demián. I realized. I thought it was the director for like a good portion of during my research for the movie. And I realized it wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah, the guy who plays Jimmy. I guess the younger brother of the two brothers in this movie. And he's also in Terrified.
Cool.
Funnily enough. So yeah. Is Terrified is great. I highly recommend it.
Is it similar kind of stylistically, I guess? You could see that it comes from the same person.
Yeah, definitely. And it's also, the subject matter is quite similar.
Cool.
We can get into it a bit further once we just describe When Evil Lurks. So if you're wondering what it's about these two brothers. They're living out on a farm or some rural property, and they unwittingly, despite their best intentions, sort of kick off an apocalypse scenario with demonic possessions. So it's a demonic possession apocalypse film.
Yeah.
And it's kind of about, what happens when you don't have access to an exorcist, or there's no church to help you with your demonic possession, or what happens when it's left to the government to deal with these sorts of things.
Yeah, they're stuck out in the rural areas of Argentina, right? I imagine so in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so they're left to their own devices to take care of this fermenting and impending apocalyptic scenario that's unfolding before them.
Yeah. If you haven't seen it, we're going to be speaking in a very spoiler open way. Yeah, there will be things that will be ruined. So if you've got any interest in watching it, pause this, watch it, come back. We'll welcome you back to this episode with open arms.
Yeah,
if you've got no interest in watching it because it is quite gory and brutal and gross, then let us guide you through the movie.
Yeah, it was on a lot of people's lists for like the scariest movie, or the different lists like that for this year, and I can see why.
Yeah.
And so good though. Such a good movie. You have to go and watch it yourself. You're right. If you're not into the gory sort of stuff, then let us describe it to you. But if you are, you got to go watch it yourself. It's an amazing story, an amazing movie that we're gonna talk to you about.
It's definitely whenever people have asked me in the last couple of months what horror movies they should be watching this year, this is up there as one of them. For sure.
Yeah,
it's
really original feeling.
It's kind of become my Barbarian for this year.
Nice.
I feel. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like the originality of it, I gotta say.
What have people said about it? Well, we've kind of just alluded to that. It's brutal. A lot of people have said it's unpredictable. Like when I'm reading reviews, it slingshots you all over the place. I actually kind of disagree. I feel like a lot of the horror and terror that it builds is because you can predict what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And you sort of think, surely they're not going to do this. Like, surely the director isn't going to do what I think they're going to do here.
Yeah.
And then they do.
Yeah, they won't go that far, will they? Yep.
Yeah, it's really that. It's like, surely not. Surely that's out of bounds. No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's absolutely not. There are some like highly unpredictable parts of it. I'm sure you'll agree.
Yeah. I think the aspect of it for me was that you're really thrown into, and we'll talk upon this more, but you're thrown into the movie and into a whole world that already exists, and there's already a narrative around it that you're suddenly having to figure out, which is was the mystery for me getting into the start of the movie in particular.
Right, and let's talk about that now, like the strong world building. It's such a rich world that it's taking place in.
Yeah.
And it feels like we're stepping in sort of midway through a story.
Yeah.
It's not an origin story for an apocalypse. We're not catching, the characters are sort of clueless in a way that one would be clueless about the state of climate change. You can be living like with the effects of it, but not know sort of what the rules are around it, or like in a law sense, or the specifics of things or certain events that have happened around the world. You're just kind of living through it.
Yeah. It adds to the aesthetic of how they're out in this rural country area, and they speak in the movie about how they've tried to escape from this apocalyptic problem that seems to be happening more in the cities. They keep saying it's like, surely it's not going to happen here. I mean, we're so far away from the city. And it took me a little while to realize what was going on at first. I was like, they were using these words and stuff that obviously had a meaning within this world, like cleaners and things like that. And I was like, what the hell are they going on about? And then once you're thrown into the middle of it, you quickly adapt and you realize, okay, they're telling this narrative from the middle of the narrative. And I gotta say, I really like it when writers tell stories in that way. I don't like having everything just handed to me and like explained to me super easily. So it was awesome.
It's I think we've talked about it before. It's the whole show don't tell. This film does a lot of showing and not a lot of telling. And I think like a lot of films don't give this to you. They'll give you all the pieces and they'll show you how they connect. And it can be really infuriating to watch a movie like that where you're kind of being treated like an idiot, you know. Whereas I think a lot of audiences actually enjoy putting together, like feeling like they've figured it out themselves.
It's nice to feel a little bit lost, and like I said, there's a mystery aspect to it. For me, I felt like I was deciphering what was going on, and as the two main characters going about the start of the movie, they're also figuring out what's going on. There's like been a death, you know, nearby, and they're talking to the families and stuff like that, and you're along the ride with them, but even more clueless than they are, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, and what you were saying before about it being like a city thing, and you know, oh, surely it's not happening out here. It kind of reminded me of like growing up in a country town, and you know, things do take a while to, like, trends and like new technology and whatnot. It does take a while to like get to country towns. So I remember like growing up, I had a cassette tape collection, you know, rather than CDs, you know, that I was getting at like garage sales and stuff like that. Or even like our local Sanity was selling tapes up until, you know, we're probably 12 or 13 actually.
And we were one of the last places, I think, to have a Sanity as well before they all closed down.
Right, yeah. So that's the other thing. It's like physical media was still a thing, like where we grew up until, you know, not even that long ago, which is just so wild. And I remember like coming to Perth, and like the TV channels were different. You know, the cartoons that you'd get were so different. Like even now, I'll talk to kids who grew up, well, kids, adults, well and truly now. Talk to people who grew up in Perth at around the same time, and you know, they're talking about all these cartoons I don't know about. The, you know, TV personalities. They're talking about like Fat Cat saying goodnight to them at 7 o'clock.
What the hell is that?
Instead of Duper Dog.
Oh, what? I didn't even know. So I don't even know those differences. I only know Duper Dog.
That's right. This is so niche.
Yeah.
Well,
everyone's like, realized, what the hell are you on about? What is going on? But no, it's totally true. You feel like you're disconnected from the world in the country, and you are, because news travels slow. Things take some time to get to you.
And it seems like maybe a bit of a trivial or a novel connection to what's happening in this movie, but I really sort of like feel that when I'm watching this movie, that rural metro divide. And I think in WA, like Western Australia especially, like we see that because our rural areas can be like very remote. You know, the distance, the physical distance is so great here between Perth, our city centre, and the more rural towns, that I could almost like feel it happening here.
Yeah, it's really similar when you put it in that way, because I remember in the movie as well, the two brothers, they make a trip into, I don't know if it's the city or if it's just a larger town, and then everything happens a lot more quickly. Like things start to escalate. That's like the catalyst, is going to the bigger town or city. And
even so, you know, when they're trying to transport the rotten that they find at the start of the film, you know, this decomposing but still alive, demonically possessed guy who was living on their neighbor's property. They're transporting him to like as far down the road as they can go, and they end up traveling like 400 kilometers. And I'm like, I know, like I know exactly how far down the road they've gone. That's a long way to like to not hit any other town. Like that's, I know, like that level of remoteness is like very, I can relate to that. That's something I can conceptualize.
100%. I could feel it a lot, especially now when
yeah.
we're describing it. Yeah, it made a lot of sense to us.
Yeah, and I definitely like, so to sort of scaffold this conversation to the film. Yeah, that definitely, the film does kick up a notch when they go to the town to like collect their families and their kids, to, you know, shepherd them away from this impending doom that they're witnessing. And
it seems to, like you said, we're thrown into the middle of it. We're trying to figure it out. And up until that point, I remember all I deciphered was, okay, there's these rotten, like you mentioned. They seem to be possessed. I'm not sure how at that point. So there's the ordinary people that somehow became possessed by a demon. And then they swell. They physically swell and become rotten and turgid. And there's a fear of when it gets to this climactic point, certain things have to occur, like death and stuff like that. Then it spreads or something like that. So that's why they want to get them as far away as possible from everyone else. And like you said, there's cleaners who I assume are more like the Exorcist type of characters. But they're just referenced. There's none of them here in this, you know, area.
Yeah.
There's no one.
And they have this bizarre, almost like old world technology that they use to expel these demons.
That's right.
And it's almost like a maritime sextant apparatus. It's all brass, and it's like a telescope with all these connections.
Yeah,
it's almost like clarinet level type precision that you have to put everything together.
Very steampunk.
Yeah, it is very steampunk. Yeah, there's all this lore, you're right, that's being that's sort of drip fed to us.
Yeah, so they're all panicking as soon as they start realizing what the scenario is, because it obviously hasn't really happened in a small town like theirs before. And they're like, no, surely it's not this, but they start taking precautions. And then, like you said, the panic sets in. The brothers want to go into the city or the bigger town to go and save the older brother's family. You know, his kids and his divorced wife, we assume.
Yes, and he almost pushes his way into their home.
Yeah.
Despite his ex-wife's partner trying to stop him, and he starts stripping down. Yeah. Because he has to burn his clothes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they've touched the rotten.
Yeah, there's all these precautions that they need to take. And so he's stripping off naked in the middle of their house, and he's like, quick, everyone, pack your things, we need to go. And they're just like, what the hell are you doing here? You're off your meds, or, saying just vile things to him because they think he's acting out of control. She kind of is. Right,
yeah. But like, how do you describe anything that you've seen up to that point to anyone and not have them think that you're crazy? It's kind of like how we were talking about that with Smile, how the way that people treat Cersei Bacon's character is probably how you treat someone who is being haunted or possessed. You think that they're having a mental break or an episode.
Yeah, especially because none of these people seem to be particularly familiar with this, I forget what they call it, but this scenario, someone needing to be cleaned and the rotten and stuff like that. They all know about it, but it seems it's rare that any of them have actually come across it themselves.
People are constantly asking each other, oh, have you ever seen one before?
Yeah. Nope.
Or do you know anyone who's seen one? And it's like, no, of course not.
Not in years. I haven't seen anything like that in a long time. It's all that sort of thing. But Argentinian instead of South American.
I was going to say, I don't think that's an Argentinian accent.
South of the USA. Down in sweet little Alabama, we ain't seen nothing.
It's so interesting, this world that feels like it's existed for a long time. Even like the rules that are established.
Let's get into the rules.
About after maybe the first act of the movie, you know, well into the second act, at this point, the brothers have picked up their elderly mother and the older brother's two sons. And the mother doesn't really know what's going on. She hasn't been told, and she sort of finds out on the road trip what's transpired.
Yeah.
It's actually quite funny when they pick her up.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, you've got both the boys. Like,
Yeah.
how did you persuade your ex-wife to let you have them for the day? Oh, this is so lovely.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to go get ice cream? Great."
Oh yeah, they keep talking about ice cream. And she's just like, yeah, awesome. We're going for a day trip. This is gonna be so much fun. There's like, don't tell her yet.
Yeah,
Don't tell
heck
her.
yeah.
Let's get her out of here, and then we'll tell her.
Yeah, and they tell her, and she's like, no, you're probably overreacting.
Yeah.
Like, surely not. I haven't heard of that happening in like so long. You know, it would almost be like, you know, very similar to now, actually. You know, we're going through like another wave of COVID currently. And I remember like when people were getting struck down with it, like a month or so ago, people are like, what, really? There's another wave of COVID? Like, oh, someone's taking COVID leave? Like, that's still a thing? That's crazy.
Yeah.
So she's like, I don't think you've actually seen a rotten. Like, you probably saw something that you don't understand, and you got scared.
Yeah. And she seems to have a bit more knowledge about it because she's older, even though she doesn't believe
Right.
them. She recites the rules to the kids as they're in the car traveling together, because the kids are curious of what's going on as this conversation's happening. And the youngest keeps asking. He's like prodding
And
questions.
she's like, oh, there's a song. Do you know the song?
Yeah.
And she starts singing this nursery rhyme that sounds to the ear very like pleasant and like nursery rhyme-ish. But it's like, the words of it are like, they're going to take over your body, they're going to kill your family and everything you hold dear to you.
Yeah.
They're going to bring the dead back. It's going to be horrible. Don't let it happen, or you'll regret it. You know, it's essentially that.
You got to teach the kids young with the nice music, with the hidden messages that they'll understand when they're older.
Yeah, that's right. It's very much like ring around the rosy, but like hasn't been abstracted to the point where it's like perhaps pleasant lyrics. It's like very much terrible.
A lot more blunt.
Yeah.
So no, kids, we actually need you to understand this.
Yeah. And it's funny because, you know, we get this sense that maybe this has been going on for a long time, because we're told there's 7 rules and then we only hear 6.
Oh yeah.
From the mother. And I can't even properly remember all 6. I think don't use electronic lights is one of them.
Yeah.
Don't shoot them with guns. Like, stay away from gunpowder.
Yeah, gunpowder in particular they mentioned.
Yeah, can you remember any others? I think I've got them
It
written
was
down.
don't call them by their name was one of them. They've ever written here.
Yes. Which is counter to what we know from other exorcism films. You know, calling a demon by its name is supposed to be a way of expelling a demon. But in this world, we're not allowed to do that.
Yeah. It's like Voldemort. You can't say anything about these demons.
Right. Yeah, that's an interesting parallel.
Don't use it. Did we say electronic lights? Yeah, you're not supposed to use any electricity around them. Which is interesting. That adds into like the real rural feel of the movie. It's like, okay, we're turning off all electricity. Well, candle lights now. We're already in the sticks.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
It's isolating.
That's, I think, probably a big part of the rules is that they're easy to forget.
Yeah.
And actually, like, Demián Rugna has talked about that in many. He said like the whole point of the rules is that there's these limitations that are set, and everyone knows them, but they're so easy to break because people are impulsive. You know, they act in the moment, or you know, with the electronic lights, people are lazy. You know, it's such a convenience thing to like have the lights on, be able to see what you're doing, that you know it becomes like surely it won't hurt, you know, to leave the lights on.
They're just old fables, these rules at this point, because so many people, you know, haven't had this experience themselves.
Right.
They're like, oh, whatever, you know, people just being cautious in their day, whatever. And then when people are confronted by, you know, this rotten and the repercussions of the mind tricks of the demon and stuff like that, because I think that was one of the things they said, is that through electricity and lights they can manipulate your mind more easily. And so when things start kicking off, all anyone wants to do is shoot to kill. It's like, no, you remember the rules. There's always someone be like, stop it for God's sakes, and trying to hold them back. You want to kill us all?
Why do you even have a gun?
Yeah, it's useless.
Where did you pull that from?
Yeah, but it's such a natural reaction to be like, shoot the problem.
Yeah. The other thing is the demons, they want to be killed.
Yeah.
They're constantly trying to appeal to like our humanity, you know. At the start of the movie, when the brothers find the dying guy, you know, I hope this isn't insensitive, but like the flesh bag of pus.
Oh, I mean, yeah. If you see the movie, you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's horrible. He's just like, please kill me. And you know how, like, how can you not consider it?
Yeah, just want to put him out of his misery. He's suffering.
Right. Yeah, but that's what it wants. That's what this demon wants.
That's how they're released. They describe.
Yeah.
They want to be released.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what you were saying about like these rules is like almost being fable, like something interesting is with the rules, they're never really talked about in a way that tells you why you shouldn't do these things. It's just like you shouldn't kill them with guns. And it's why not? Like it's not told to us why killing them with guns is like a mechanism that allows them to jump or to become more powerful or anything like that. It's just, don't do it. Trust us. It's a bad idea.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a part of maybe why people have such a hard time following the rules. You don't know what the repercussions are, or
the reasons,
or the impact of what you're doing, the reason. Yeah,
it's part of the mystery of the movie. And that's my favorite part of the whole thing, is this world that they've created and throwing you into the middle of it, and then just inciting panic halfway through the movie. God, I can't, we've already said it, but it's got to be one of my favorite movies for that aspect of it. They did that so well throughout it.
Yes, yeah, the smatterings of brutality throughout definitely help build this dread, or rather the world building, I think, helps build the dread for those little bits of brutality.
God.
Yeah.
There's a few that really stand out. One in particular is on like the movie poster, for most of the movie posters, with the woman holding the axe facing herself. Like, that was such a moment in the movie, because you just so I should have seen it coming, but I didn't quite see it coming, because like you said, it's like you don't expect them to go that far, and then they do, or the director does, you know.
Oh, and that's one of the rules: don't be around animals.
Animals, that's right.
Which kind of that the specific scene that you're talking about, the couple that live next door, the brothers, they have a goat that's acting really weird.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, it's possessed. And
A spooky goat. Kind of classic
Yes, a
symbol
spooky
of
goat.
demonic Satanism and stuff. The horned
Right.
goat.
Yeah, and they're pointing at it. They're like, "That's the goat. That's the weird goat.
Yeah, and it's just sitting
And
there.
it's
It's not
like-
really doing anything.
It's a normal goat."
It's just away from the herd of goats and just sort of looking at them through the fence. Like, is this goat really
Yeah.
gonna do something? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, and he shoots his gun, and the other goats run away, and he's left with this one goat, and he shoots it because it keeps stepping towards him. It's like, yeah, shoot me, shoot
Yeah.
me. And
Oh man.
his wife is appealing to him like, no, look, I'm pregnant, like, we're going to be parents, like, we can't shoot this goat. Like, it's not worth it. And he does it anyway, and immediately gets hit in the head with an axe
Yeah.
from his wife, and then she immediately kills herself, and it's horrible.
It's so fast.
It's so hard to watch.
Yeah.
And yeah, it all happens like before you can look away. It's
The way it builds up so slowly to get to that point, and then everything snaps as soon as he shoots the goat. You can tell it's been unleashed. The demon has been unleashed upon them.
yes,
And you don't see it.
Yeah.
Like, you don't see it happen. They just change their behaviors to self-harm and murderous.
in a split second. But like watching it, I'm not sure that
Yes.
her killing him and herself was like the demon. I'm wondering if it was in an effort to stop it from spreading.
Yep. That's what I was going to say as well. It leaves it a little bit ambiguous, I think, on purpose. So you can't
Yeah.
tell if she was like, no, seriously, don't do it, and then axes him, or if the demon
Yep.
just took hold that quickly. It's mysterious.
Yeah. Or she didn't realize what she was doing. Like, she was already being
Yeah.
influenced by the demon to pick up the axe in the first place. It's
So good.
but at that point the floodgates are open. It's in full swing. We know at that point that yes, this is a demonic possession plague
Yeah.
that's happening.
And they're so scared. Like, they know there's massive repercussions potentially because they've heard the stories, but they're so scared, so they can't help themselves. They need to do something, so they always think to shoot, because that usually ends a problem if you shoot something or someone in a horrible way. But it's usually a full stop. And
Yeah, that's maybe one of the things about this movie that makes me feel like it couldn't happen in Australia, because
Yeah.
or maybe like rurally it's different because people do have guns, but
yeah, it could be
like
a
farm
Wolf Creek type
farm guns
yeah.
and whatnot.
Not the
Right,
cities.
but we don't have access to guns
Yeah.
readily.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe that's not our go-to with solving a problem in a violent way. It's probably like a 2x4 or something.
Yeah.
Or a star picket or something like that.
Yeah, get the tennis racket. Let's go.
Right.
Shoo, goat, shoo.
Or the random hockey stick
Yeah.
that most of us have to defend our homes.
That's what we need. We need an
What were
Australian
some other
version.
key? Right. Yeah. What would the Australian rule be there? It's
Yeah. Australia would be like, she'll be right. There won't be any rules.
Yeah.
She'll be right.
do whatever you need to do.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Whatever happens, happens. We're too laid back.
That's right. It'd probably be like a big knife, It'd be like a Crocodile Dundee type type situation.
Cook the demon.
Um,
Cook whatever animal it presents itself in, or human. We'll create some new ritual around it to dispel it, our own version of cleaning.
right.
An outdoor barbecue.
That's right. Yeah, it's just a barbecue.
Oh god.
Gosh, the next really brutal moment. I think it probably is a good idea for us to just step through the brutal moments of this film, because I think they're like the main story beats, and with each of them, you know, the narrative is sort of hung off these story beats. You know, they appear as like these inevitable sort of milestones in the story. The next one is the girl and the dog.
Yep.
Which is a perfect moment of, it's what I was talking about earlier, where, you know, we can anticipate what's going to happen.
Yeah, you're right.
We see this big hunkering dog that seems really friendly and dopey, but is like this, I don't know, like a bulldog or like a boxer breed. It's like a big, like, scary looking dog.
Yeah, a little tank.
And this innocent little girl just like dancing around it, and, you know, like hugging it, and we just know that something is going to go wrong with this dog.
Yeah, because this goes back to the scene where, you know, the brothers go to the older brother's, you know, ex-wife's house, and her partner. And the kid is actually not his kid, but it's one of the children that's part of the household. And, you know, the two sons, his children there. And obviously the demon made its way into possessing another animal in the form of the dog.
Yes,
So-
through, I suppose, sniffing and
His clothes, that's right.
rubbing its nose in his clothes.
Yeah.
That he's stripped
He
off.
just left his clothes on the ground there. Yeah.
That's right. And, you know, we're thinking surely Rugna isn't going to make this dog attack this girl. Surely that would be the obvious choice.
You know it's going to happen, but you
know,
don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, or surely we won't see it happen, but no, we see it. We see it in full force.
Yeah.
Man, it's horrible.
Poor little girl.
And and then the dog runs out of the house and
Down the street.
and down the road and disappears, and, you know, so starts this manhunt for this dog. And there's a brilliant line from the older brother, you know, where he's talking to the partner of his ex-wife, who's come back into the house and has gotten his rifle, because apparently everyone has guns.
Yeah, that's kind of surprising. Maybe that's how it is.
And yeah, maybe that's but he tells his ex-wife's partner, like, you're not going to find a dog, you'll find a demon. And it sounds so good in Spanish. Like, it's amazing. Such a good line. And
Yeah, that was so cool.
yeah, he does find the dog, and
Yeah, as they're running through the streets, and he's trying to scream, like, whatever you do, don't shoot it. Once again.
Yeah.
But obviously,
and he rounds a corner and he sees him
yeah,
shooting this dog.
the daughter's father is obviously once again extremely scared and extremely emotional, which takes over the logic part of the brain where they know that they probably shouldn't do this thing. But like you said, humans are flawed. They're impulsive. We're emotional. We're going to do it.
Yep. Yeah, that's right. It's and the girl turns out she's fine.
Yeah, she's somehow fine. Like, how? She had her face dragged by a dog down the street.
Right, yeah, and was shook around a whole bunch. It was
Like a toy.
it was very clearly lights out for her.
Yeah.
But it sort of plays into this idea that's threaded throughout, is that the demons play off your fears. And so, you know, having the fear that something would happen to your daughter will then cause the demon to make it appear that something has happened, or you know, to actually do something to hurt your daughter. So yeah, it's horrible,
And
absolutely horrible.
I said when that shot rings out, and then I suppose the demon is released once again, and it possesses her father, right, who did the shooting.
Right. Yes.
And
yes.
Oh, I forget the scene. Maybe you remember, but then when they arrive back at the family house, I think the father and the little girl do, and the little girl is saying something really terrifying to the mother. Was it?
Yeah. So what happens? The main character, like the older brother, his name's Pedro. He gets back to the house. And he sees that the little girl is fine, and she's being hugged by the mother at the front of the house. And oh yes, my daughter's back. Oh, she's fine.
She's so happy.
Fine. And the daughter says, "Dad's gonna kill you. He's gonna hit." And she's like, "What?" And she's like, "He's gonna hit you with the car."
Yeah.
And bang.
And then it happens.
You're gonna be dead. And then it happens like almost immediately. And there's something really special about that prophecy as well. I don't know if you picked it up. I only really picked it up because I've watched this film now multiple times. But Jade, my wife, was like really quick to pick this up last night when we were watching it. And that was that because the mother doesn't die there, she gets possessed and then shows up later on in the story. She actually gets hit by the younger brother, Jimmy, with his car. When he's trying to catch up to her because she's stolen one of the children. And
later in the movie.
Right. So that's how her story arc ends. And you know, she goes up onto the windshield, and she when she gets hit, and so her head's like sticking back into the car, and she says to Jimmy, "Oh, you told me that you loved me." And that brings the prophecy like in a full arc. That tells us that Jimmy, the younger brother, is the father of this young girl. And was cheating, betraying his older brother by like sleeping with his wife. And it's like again, like we're showing it, we're not told it, we're like we have to put together that story element.
It's implied
from what we're seeing, what we're being shown. It's brilliant.
Another piece of the cake, another piece of the puzzle. I love that about the movie. Now that you say
it's so satisfying.
I remember that moment, but it, like you said, they didn't focus on it too much, so it just kind of moved on. It just gave you that as a piece of the lore. That was cool. I got it. If I can take away from the story for a moment, just to add a comment about Jimmy.
Sure.
I like this actor a lot. Obviously, I've never seen him in anything. But he looks exactly like a YouTuber I remember that I used to watch back in the day. He did like fitness videos or something, which was really startling for me. But he's got the most powerful mustache, and he's got these very expressive eyebrows. So every scene he's like, as he's driving in the car. And it looks so good.
He looks angry like all the time, or like he's deep in contemplative thought. It's amazing. He's got a very expressive face.
I love his expressions. He's always listening to his brother and like taking care of whatever he needs to take care of. And I guess that's probably out of guilt after we find that aspect about the cheating. But he's always just hyper focused and like super serious, and his eyebrows are furrowed, and he looks cool, and he's got a little beret type of thing on and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I just love that about
he's
him.
a very, very cool character.
Yeah. I just remember he's always standing, like hands on hips as well, like listening to like the different characters that they meet across the way, and he's just like I mean, you got to see his eyebrows. They're powerful. They convey a message.
It's worth watching just for him, I think.
Yeah, he's a whole story on his own.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that in there.
No, thank you for doing that.
It was definitely my second favorite aspect of the movie after the world building.
Yeah. Going back to like brutal moments through the film, there isn't really all that much to say more, just that there are more, and the practical effects are amazing, and it's done really well. It feels weird to say that like the practical effects and gore is done like really, really tastefully, but I really feel like it is. It's done to shock you, but it's not like a cheap shock, or it's not oh, we're going to show you something really horrible. It's not like in Saw. I feel no hate to the Saw fanatics. We did get in a little bit of trouble for our Saw episode.
We love you, Saw people.
But we love you, Saw people. But it's not like done in like a gore porn kind of way. It's
yeah, it has an aesthetic. That's how I'd say it.
Yeah. It has a distinct aesthetic. It's very artistic.
Yeah. Gritty and artistic.
And for the sake of the story as well, it's very in place and shocking as well.
Yeah.
Like very shocking.
Yeah, real disgust factor to the, pussy, horrible, rotten scenes and stuff like that. And I didn't realize they were practical effects either. I don't think I realized that because they did the job so well. It seemed really polished, even though it was disgusting and pussy and things like that.
Yeah.
It was really well done and really well polished.
Even like very subtle things like apple sorbet mixing with blood and hair. It's like a very like gross. I can't even really describe it because it's like that's an aesthetic. That's a very, very distinct look and feel.
I think I blocked that out of my mind because I know what you mean with the apple sorbet, but I don't remember the combination.
Yeah, towards the end, again, being shown and not told. Which it almost feels like that's the key limitation that Rugna put on himself for this movie. Was to not tell anything and just show. But we're showing the older son of Pedro's two sons. He's choking, and so Pedro's pulling out whatever he's choking on while he's eating ice cream. And on the ground we're seeing like bloody vomit and hair, apple sorbet that's dropped onto the ground in the kerfuffle, and it's all mixing together. And then we see the necklace of the grandmother in amongst it, and the implication is that he's eaten his grandmother off screen at some point.
Snuck that in there somehow amongst the ice cream snacks.
Right. It's, but I feel like any other film would have shown us that, would have shown us him eating her or anything like that. But we're not showing that at all. We're just left to contemplate what we're seeing, as if we're Pedro in that scene.
Yeah, you're along for the ride. I like that about it. And I gotta emphasize, people listening to this episode, if you're into really scary horror movies, if you're into really good stories, and this is not your classic AAA blockbuster horror film, this is a foreign film. But it's done incredibly well, executed incredibly well by a really good director who had a clear vision. Like, this has got to be on the top of your list for movie releases, horror movie releases in 2023 to watch. I can't recommend it enough.
Yeah. Yep, that's right. It's narratively amazing. The execution of every element is top tier.
Yeah.
It's a really, really good movie.
I feel like
just
I
a few
feel like I had to say that just because when we're talking about it, there's so much that we're trying to talk about, and there is so much to talk about. It's hard to do it justice in my mind. You have to see the visual journey as well, but we'll do our best.
Yeah, it's almost like we're pulling on just mere threads of this rich tapestry that is like so intricately woven that there's no way that we can describe it and do it any justice. It's so much greater.
It's a must see.
Yeah. Just a couple more things I wanted to talk about and get your take on. So something throughout the film that's played on is the idea of the juxtaposition of children being innocent and children being evil, and there's a great line by Martia, who is introduced as a character sort of later in the film. She's a retired cleaner.
We finally meet a cleaner, and they're retired.
Right. And they're retired. And yeah, she's moved out rurally to sort of escape the the horrors that she's seen throughout her life. But she delivers this great line when it turns out that the demon has set up shop in a school. And she's like, oh yeah, evil likes kids. And kids like evil.
Yeah. I love that quote. I remember that exactly. I thought, yeah, that's true. As soon as I heard
can
it.
see it.
My children are the devil.
Yeah, I always joke about because in my psychology degree, you learn about early stage development, and you learn that kids develop a sense of others and of morality surprisingly late in life. Late in their development, and it's always stuck with me, this idea that kids are almost when they're really young, they're almost operating they're operating with just this heightened sense of self and what they need, and forgetting about everyone else, or not even being able to conceive that. And so their morality is what do I need right now? What do I feel about this? Or, oh, I've got this toy and they took it away. I'm it's the end of the world.
Yeah. My feelings are the ones that matter. I'm upset.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember learning that in high school as well, that they're egocentric. I think that was the word. They're egocentric for a very long time as children.
Yeah, and it's so this idea that evil, this evil being, this demon, can make them rally together and can can make them serve this other, beyond their personal needs and their egocentric view of the world, is just so frightening and compelling, because you're seeing towards the end of the movie, you're seeing a group of kids, not even that larger group of kids, but they're acting in ways that kids don't act, and it's so jarring.
Yeah. They're really, one of them I remember was really manipulative in a really intelligent way. You could tell, it seemed so genuine, but you could tell at a certain point that they're being possessed and being made to tell these lies. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And despite all that, it's still jarring to see like Pedro, because he's, you know, at the end of his tether at this point, his own child has been kidnapped by the demon possessing his ex-wife, and you know he just wants all of this to be over, and he's so afraid. And you know, we see him act in such an immoral way. You know, he starts slapping this girl, and it's so difficult to watch, despite knowing that, oh, she's not a little girl, she's actually this demon, or you know, this she's serving this demonic power. It's still, this film plays really well off the like innocence of children juxtaposed against this horrible demon.
Yeah, Pedro is so exhausted at that point. You can see how he gets to that point of just being like, damn you, damn with all the games, I don't care if you're a demon or you're a child, like I need answers now, kind of thing.
Yeah,
it's like, oh my god. Yeah, he just wants it all to be done and away with. And this, I'm just thinking this now, but it's kind of like a hive mind, like a demon hive mind. It seems to communicate across all these entities and people that it's possessing. Yeah,
very strange, very cool. It's I think, like, again, like the idea of like the demonic plague, or you know, demonic infestation, it's like, it plays possession as a disease, I think, is the feeling of it. I remember there was one scene, another one of those hard to watch, just hard to, it was, I get through movies pretty well, and this scene in particular, I think it was less brutal than some of the others, but just what was implied was very brutal to me. And it was in that same act where I forget the character's name, but the retired cleaner, she's helping Pedro in the, I think it's in a church. Martia,
yeah. And she's helping him in this old church or an old school or something to try and figure out where the demon is, to try to, you know, clean it, to try to end all this, try to get the child back. And like we said, there's kids walking around in these little white robes, and they're possessed, and they're lying to Pedro and stuff, but they're sort of staying out the way. And she's just like, don't talk to them, ignore them, like, do what I tell you to do. She's like giving him instructions, pull up the floorboards and stuff like that. And then he needs to leave the room. I can't remember what he needs to leave the room for, but
it's the little girl is being like, oh, you need to pull up the floorboards. There's an axe in the staff room. Like, there's a fire axe.
She convinces him.
That'll be better than the hammer. Like, go get it. And Marsha's like, don't listen to her.
Don't.
She's trying to trick you.
Yeah, but he's so tired and exhausted, and he's like, I've got something I need to do. An axe is going to help me. I'll be back in a sec. You know, I imagine that's what his brain processes. He isn't saying that. And so he just does it. He just caves in, even though he's not supposed to listen to her. And you know, as soon as he leaves that room, the children are going to stop standing in the corner, and they're going to go for Marcia, who's like the biggest threat because she actually knows what to do. And as soon as he leaves the room, she's dead. She was mobbed by a bunch of kids.
Or not immediately, but she's
not quite.
She's being pulled away by her hair, dragged across the ground, and there's one girl with the hammer, just hitting her as she's being dragged away, like hitting her head.
God, that whole scene was rough for me. Just the whole thing of the children just patiently waiting, like, you know, hyenas stalking their prey that they're not strong enough to catch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then they just got the right moment.
And they even move out of the way to let him through. Like,
please.
When he has to go and get her gear from the car, it's
evil.
Yeah.
It's evil. That was a big moment for me.
Yes. Yeah. The last thing I wanted to talk about was so there's this theme throughout throughout the film about like governments or like government organizations not stepping in and helping the people, or the bureaucracy of like the police department, and trying to defer responsibility to the public health organization and all of that. I was reading some articles about sort of what inspired the film, and Rugna was talking about how like agricultural pesticides were being used in an unregulated way, like in all this rural farmland in Argentina.
Yeah.
And how these long-term health effects were, children getting cancer, working on these fields, and people needlessly dying or, having terrible quality of life because they were being exposed to these like highly damaging chemicals, and it was just very unregulated. And that was what inspired this film. There's like the bureaucratic sort of like red tape and departments sort of fumbling the ball, and not really being able to help people who need help because X, Y, and Z has to be done because that's policy, and that's what we need to do, and while we can't help you, we'll pass it on to this department.
I remember the words being used early on were like, oh, they said they'll send someone, like they'll send another cleaner and stuff like that. It's like, oh, they said they'll do this, they said they'll do that. Just empty promises.
Well, when will that happen?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, don't get angry with us. Like, we've passed it on.
Yeah.
It's not with us anymore.
Yeah, it's out of our hands. It's not our responsibility. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can certainly see that
really
message.
Infuriating.
Yeah, it's a really interesting way to get that message into the movie as well. You can certainly see the parallels between, the way that the demon spreads and stuff like that. Plague-like effects, and the rural areas. You can certainly see it.
A tragic connection, but definitely a strong one, and like a good message overall, I think.
Safety regulations, on the public, particularly in rural populations. It's certainly important. And even in Australia, in different ways, we can relate to that. We need more regulations on certain things to help protect rural populations, as we can imagine ourselves.
Yeah. So that's where the idea for the film came from, and that's
So the takeaways of the movie: number 1, powerful eyebrows of Demián. 2, positive message about the failings of certain government agencies. 3. This is how you tell a story. Amazing way to tell a story and to world build. And 4.
Yes.
Disgusting, but very aesthetic and very well made. 5. One of the top horror movies released this year. You got to see it.
What a summary.
That's my 5 points. The 5 rules for when evil lurks.
That's right. Yeah, it was almost like Gremlin-like. With the rules.
They don't like water,
except harder to remember them. Don't feed them after midnight. But yeah, When Evil Lurks. It's available on Shudder. Shudder, the horror movie streaming service. Give it a watch if that's something you're into.
Highly recommend. That's been When Evil Lurks. Can't say it enough. Got to watch this movie. We both watched it. I'm going to watch it again because I've only watched it once.
I've watched it twice now.
Nice.
And I was really surprised Jade wanted to watch it. Now she's made a rule that we can't watch any apocalypse movies.
Oh no. Apocalypse nightmares.
Yeah, we watched 2 yesterday, so I think we've got it out of our system.
Yeah, if you're looking for a good apocalypse movie, an amazing horror movie, you can't go past When Evil Lurks. Out now on Shudder.
Yes, absolutely. Well, that is where we'll wrap up this episode, because we've got to run away and film our next episode
Yes.
as well.
I'm gonna record another few guys right after this.
That's right. So yeah, we've been It Lives on Tape. You've been lovely. And yeah, we'll see you on the next one.
Yeah, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. See you later.
Bye.